Tonight, DAA declares the economy will take a massive hit if a cap on passenger numbers is not lifted. Opponents to the plan say it's bad news for the climate and the community. Well, in a moment, we'll hear directly from DAA, Ryanair and the Green Party. But first, Louise Byrne reports.
Oh, big old jet airliner, don't carry me too far away.
14 years ago, Terminal 2 began operations at Dublin Airport. A clause in the terminal's planning permission capped the overall number of passengers at the airport at 32 million a year. The government has said there were concerns over the capacity of the roads and infrastructure around the airport. DAA now wants to grow its passenger numbers and has applied to increase the cap to 40 million passengers a year. It's part of wider plans at Dublin Airport. Planning permission has been lodged for a number of infrastructure projects, including increasing capacity in the north of the airport to accommodate an additional 6 mostly European-bound aircraft, while it also wants to expand the south apron to facilitate a new pier for an extra 3 long-haul planes, along with relocated aircraft parking areas and taxiways. DAA also wants to enlarge and relocate the security area within Terminal 1. The plans are causing anger among those already in dispute with the airport over noise, but there's also potential turbulence in government. Some Green Party TDs have publicly opposed the plans on environmental grounds, but coalition colleagues, including the Minister for Finance and the Taoiseach, are in favour of the expansion. Support too from the tourism sector.
Well, for example, 75% of the Irish tourism economy at the moment is made up of international visitors. So we need Americans, we need French, we need Germans, we need British people coming to our country, enjoying the Irish tourism product. The tourism is the largest indigenous industry and the biggest regional employer the country has. So if we have a handbrake on growth, if we curtail tourism's prospects into the future, there's going to be economic problems right around the country.
What do you say, though, to those who say that there can be green jobs instead?
I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think tourism can grow, and indeed aviation can grow in a responsible way. I think we have to embrace sustainable aviation fuel. Nobody in aviation has their head in the sand. Imposing an arbitrary cap on Dublin Airport and restricting tourism into the country and damaging the economy is not the way to go.
DAA has said it's already had to turn away airlines that want to land here in Dublin Airport, and it's warned that in future extra capacity like flights for Six Nations matches could be under threat if the number of passengers using this airport can't grow. Among those travelling today, some support for an expansion of aviation, but not everyone's convinced it should be in Dublin.
It takes us nearly 3 hours to get to Dublin Airport, so it adds to the journey there and back. Sometimes it adds an overnight. So if we could fly from Shannon or Knock, it'd be wonderful, yeah.
Do you have any concerns about the climate impact of increasing the number of flights in and off the island?
Personally, I don't. I do, obviously, there is some climate concern, but in my occupation as well, I don't. No, it wouldn't be my biggest concern, to be honest.
If there was a flight I could have got to Shannon today, I would have taken it because it would only be an hour from a lot nearer to home, so it would have been more realistic. But they just don't have them every day, it's not the same frequency as here.
Almost 2 million people did fly in and out of Shannon Airport last year, but it is underutilised and has room for a further 2.5 million passengers.
What we're offering here, what we're pointing out, is that the regions have capacity to shoulder some of the burden of the congestion that Dublin is experiencing, and that it makes more sense for government to incentivise and support that kind of connectivity and that kind of growth ahead of further expansion at Dublin Airport. Let's use our existing airports. Let's use our existing assets. The most sustainable airport is the airport that's already built.
Limerick Chamber is critical of the plans for Dublin Airport, saying aviation policy is far too reliant on the capital.
People aren't coming to Dublin Airport, they're coming to Ireland. I think there's a certain amount of scaremongering coming from the DAA and people who have a vested interest in seeing Dublin Airport grow. And so I don't buy that argument that if they're not flying into Dublin that they won't come to Ireland.
The application to lift the passenger cap will be considered by Fingal County Council and, if necessary, by Embor Planola.
Louise Byrne reporting there. Well, a little earlier, I met with DAA CEO Kenny Jacobs, and I began by putting it to him that the main roads around Dublin Airport, the M1 and the M50, are already at capacity.
Surface access is a critical part of capacity at the airport, and the original condition that was set in 2007 was about concerns around surface access. Now, the volume of cars on the key roads coming into the airport, that's actually down last year compared to 2019. That's a good thing. And the number of people taking the bus to the airport has increased, which is also a good thing. We've just announced actually today that next year we will have 35 million bus capacity for people to come to Dublin Airport and leave Dublin Airport, and that's good. I mean, the cap, I think, is illogical, and it's now outdated because we're operating in a different world. Dublin Airport can comfortably take 35 million passengers a year. There's certainly the demand from the travelling public. There's the demand from airlines like Aer Lingus and Ryanair to do more flying. It will create more jobs, and I think it would be great if we did find a way for the cap to be lifted for a period of time while we're waiting for planning application. We have submitted a plan to Fingal to be able to operate to 40 million passengers a year, but if we were able to operate to the 35 million passengers a year that we know we can accommodate, that would be good for Ireland. It will give us connectivity.
The whole problem is, okay, for people in the area, you're planning for more vehicles, 3,200 more vehicles.
No, that's part of our infrastructure plan, and that car park is just one part of it. And we need some car parking spaces, not just for passengers, some of those for people working at the campus. But generally, look, the key point on the cap is the cap is based around surface access. Surface access is not a problem today. And until we get planning application approved for 40 million passengers, I think it's a good thing that we revisit the cap, and we will fully comply with the planning legislation. There's nothing that's going to change in that, and we are managing down capacity. So airlines are being actively told, no, you may not be able to do the amount of flying that you want to do. But I think this is a key choice for Ireland. You know, if we're turning away airlines because we're saying the cap has to stay, then ultimately we are going to lose jobs, airfares are going to go up, the airport standards won't necessarily improve, and emissions vitally might actually disimprove.
Why do you say that you're going to lose jobs? What about the regional airports? They're crying out for business. They say they're underutilised. Are you saying the only way to get into Ireland is through Dublin Airport?
No, the only way to get into Ireland is to any airport that's on the island. The regional airports are doing very, very well, and I would fully support every regional airport. We are responsible for Dublin and Cork Airport, but I would fully support growth at all the regional airports in Ireland. I think there's a myth out there that if you cap Dublin, those flights will move to the regions. That's simply not the case. There's nothing to stop any airline moving flights from Dublin to Cork, to Shannon, to Knock, or those other airports. Airlines are simply responding to where the demand is, and the main demand.
But if you build it, they will come.
No, it doesn't work like that in aviation. There's plenty of airports out there that have built it and they did not come. In the case of Dublin, the airlines want to come to Dublin. That's why they want to do more flights here. They also want to go to Cork. They also want to go to Shannon, and I hope all those regional airports grow.
Not a word yet about the local residents. Kieran Coff saying that in this plan that there's nothing at all to mitigate the unacceptable level of exposure to noise and air pollution for North Dublin residents.
And I would encourage him to look at the plan, and I don't think he has looked at the plan, and I've asked him to meet us so we can take him through the plan, and he hasn't given us a date to meet us yet. But if he does look at the plan, he will see there's loads for the local residents that they will be happy with. There's 400 million alone for sustainability investments. There's big investments in noise insulation, more noise mitigation measures, and it's a plan that I think the community will say the airport can grow. We see more jobs created, and half of those jobs will be in the community, and it's an airport that actively engages with the community and will continue to do so.